for joining us again today. Kersten Kloss here with Netcast Event, and I have here once again in studio with me Chris Hamilton from Sales Tip a Day. The two of us are going to be interviewing Adam Metz. Now, I'll let Chris introduce Adam Metz a little bit more as we move forward here. But first, what I'd like to do is just give you a quick outline what we do here. We interview authors that are, well, right now they're supplied to us by McGraw-Hill of sales and marketing content. And we like to get them on camera and discuss their book, but more importantly, a little bit more about what's behind their subject matter, a little bit more about them than necessarily just the book itself, because obviously you can read the book. So I'll just pass this on to Chris here and let him introduce Adam, who is live via a Skype call. We don't have him on video, we have him on audio, but he's standing by. So Chris, why don't you introduce Adam?
Sure, I will introduce Adam. First of all, I want to just hold the book up. It's Adam wrote a book called The Social Customer. And I'm just going to read your bio on the back here, Adam, so that people know who you are. Adam Metz is the VP of Business Development for Metz Consulting. So, Adam, how come you're not the president? I mean, it sounds like it's your company, isn't it? I'm pulling your leg.
It is my company, but I mean, I tend to concentrate more on the day-to-day of just working with clients. And, I guess running the company takes place on weekends and stuff. So in the day-to-day, that's kind of more my role. So I just figured, be honest about it.
Exactly. It's, so the other thing it says here is you've consulted with nearly 100 companies on how to acquire, manage, monetize, and retain customers from the social web. And as we discussed earlier prior to the interview, you live in Oakland, just 15 minutes from the downtown core of San Francisco, and you're there with your fiancée, Susan. And that's a high level on who you are. Is there anything else you wanted to add or put in there?
Actually, at this point, I've worked with more like 136, 137 companies. Just brought on a couple of new ones. I work with a software company downtown Oakland, a kung fu company here. I'm just starting up with an entertainment firm down south in San Jose. And yeah, usually the clients that I work with are small and medium-sized businesses. Typically, I've done a few large companies like Hershey's. And we help them get customers from the social web, and in addition, I have a number of coaching clients as well.
Excellent. So you're a busy man then, I would imagine.
Yeah, right in my third book right now. Just putting out a new ebook next week. Yeah, so there's just a lot of stuff going on. It's all generally about helping companies figure out how to get customers from the internet.
That's excellent. That's a good segue into literally. Some of the stuff that I gleaned from the book, we'll go through some of these questions here. But part of it is, I think the social customer is from our standpoint. When I started looking at this, I thought, it's going to be all about online and stuff like that. But you've written more about the social CRM side of things. But the other side of it is, you got brand and brand tracking. So I think that was kind of one of the first things that you really talk about in the book. And if you could just kind of highlight. Your thoughts on brand tracking, why people want to track their brand, because especially in this day and age where stuff's being said about you online, you could be very surprised about what's going on out there.
Sure. Well, I'll just give you an example from last week. My phone rang. I was having breakfast last Thursday, I think it was. One of my old clients I used to work with at a large tea company. She now works for a food and beverage company, a pretty well-known one. They make a very popular brand of cereal. They make some snack bars that are really popular and Whole Foods and things like that. And they had a customer that was honestly kind of flipping out on their Facebook page in front of 22,000 people. Geez. And they were like, when the phone rings and it's a former client calling before 9 a.m., I'm usually like, did somebody die, or what's going on? What happened? Especially when it's a food and beverage company, I'm always thinking food tampering or something like that. So we talked it out. We did a couple of sessions. We're meeting up for a third time next week. And the very first thing we did was I said, okay, well, where's your brand monitoring system? Let me log in and have a look at the damage. And they're like, oh, we don't have one. And I was like, well, you're not getting off the phone with me until you deploy at least a very basic one. So, in that initial phone call, we deployed, a very inexpensive but effective brand monitoring system for them so they could at least figure out, what are people saying about their brand on the social web on a minute-to-minute basis. So that was the immediate outcome.
So, like, you're talking about, is this your own system that you have set up, or is this using online technologies that are widely already available, like Google and what have you?
Yeah, generally something like a Google Alerts isn't going to be appropriate for a company. That's just more like if, let's say you're a big fan of the Cincinnati Reds and you want to know every good new article that popped up about them and it wasn't time sensitive or for a business case, sure, use Google Alerts. That's just fine. But for anything that involves your livelihood, I would never go near Google Alerts. It's just not appropriate. So I set them up in that particular case. I think we used Hootsuite Pro or something. Costs about $20 a month. And, it's a very basic starter solution. I wouldn't recommend it for anything but a small business. But, if larger companies may use something like a Radian 6, they're now a Salesforce.com company. There's even very, very large enterprise solutions. So it just depends on what your needs are and how much of the internet you want to cover, whether it's just the basics like, say a few social networks like Facebook and Twitter, or whether you need to cover everything in real time and be able to have a 3-person team reacting to that in real time. So I'd say it depends whether you're Molson Coors or whether you're the little flower shop down the street.
By the way, I have to appreciate the fact that you mentioned Hootsuite, which is a Canadian company. You just mentioned Molson Coors, which is also
right.
Also Canadian company.
Conglomerate of a Canadian company too. So
and I'm listening to Rush as we speak.
Amazing.
I'm just
next you're going to be listening to Triumph, I think, or something like that.
Oh man, and I'll put at the end of the show we have to play Roller by April.
Oh
5.
man, this is it's great. Actually, Canadians get really excited when Americans actually even mention anything about Canada. So we're really happy about that sort of stuff.
As long as you're not tweeting on your RIM BlackBerry right now, we're fine.
Yeah, no. Everything. I'm wearing my flannel, and I stopped by Tim Hortons on the way.
Oh, nice. Good for you. And you got a mullet too, right? So
absolutely. I've got my Dave Coulier here.
Excellent. Hey, so the other thing too is the concept of the social customer, right? What is your what do you mean when you talk about the social customer? Obviously.
Yeah. It's so funny that you say that. I was on the phone with a pretty large law firm in San Francisco the other day, and they're like, "Okay, you wrote this book, The Social Customer, Mr. Metz guy. What is the social customer?" And I said, "Well, statistically, 73% to 90% of your customers are the social customer. What that means is they're using a form of social technology at least once a month.
Wow,
that's it."
So what was that stat again? 73% to how many?
73 to 90%. So if you need some statistics on this, you can use the Forrester tools. Yeah. So here's what I would use to gauge what percentage of your customers are the social customer. Go to Google and type in something called Groundswell tool. And so when you type in Groundswell tool, then what you'll find is a bunch of things on Google will come up. I'm actually going to go to Google right now and do it. So type in Groundswell tool. If you can do a little screencast.
Actually, Kirsten's doing it right now. So.
Yeah, I'm gonna try. And so then what'll come up is the top link should say Social Technographics Profile Tool. Click on that bad boy. It'll take you to a really nice
tool.
Google doesn't want to give it to me. Hold on. Keep going.
So here's I'll give you the URL. It's www.forrester.com/empowered/tool_consumer.html. Again, I'll give that to you. It's www.forrester.com/empowered/tool_consumer.html. It's right alongside a real nice book that was written by Josh Bernoff called Empowered. And so what you'll come up with here, it's a social technology profile tool, and it just takes about 30 seconds, and you can pop in the ages and the locations and genders of your customers, based on your rough data, and you can figure out, well, what percentage of my customers are truly a social customer? So I'm going to give an example. Let's say you make a soda that sells to mainly 18 to 24-year-old males in Canada, and so I'm typing in ages 18 to 24, country's Canada, and gender's male, and what I get is that 94% of those customers are social customers.
Yeah.
Wow. So that literally, that's amazing. That's a nice little piece of information that you gave away for free to our viewers.
Yeah, so it's real easy to use. So anytime, let's say your company's attacking a new market segment, and you want to know, okay, well, what percentage of these people are really social? Go to the tool and pop it in. And I think this data that you're looking at there is from 2009, but I have a hunch that Forrester actually updated the data in 2010. So I think the data is only about 1 year old. And I think good analyst firms like Forrester and the Pew Internet and American Life study, they usually update this data about once a year. So whenever you're assessing this, you can feel secure in that the data is at worst 1 or 2 years old.
But I mean, it'll give you a fair assessment, right? I mean, that sets you in your way. That's actually an excellent tool for people to use. I mean, obviously, if I'm sitting in a company and I've got at least some smarts behind me and stuff like that, and I want to go online, this is a great way to gauge what's the uptake going to be on what you do and stuff like that. So